Welcome to the Deer Hunter Podcast, a platform created to entertain, educate, and evolve the modern-day deer hunter. Okay, here we go. Everybody, getting back on track here. We're going to get this thing back on the rails. The last couple weeks have been pure madness. All energy and efforts were focused towards getting our film premiere handled. And currently, when I'm recording this, it is Monday, January 28th, 1:30 in the afternoon. It is currently blizzard-like conditions out here in the lovely state of Michigan. Anybody that's got to commute this afternoon, I feel bad for you. I'm here and getting ready to go pick my kid up from school, daycare. That's just a couple miles away because they're closing early, and my wife's work sent her home. So she's back in the neighborhood already safely, and we're going to have a snow day and take the kid out, play out in the snow for as long as he'll tolerate it. But yeah, man, that's what's going on. And no podcast last week. Like I said, I physically didn't have the time to do it. It was committed towards the final leg of editing the film. The reality of the whole thing was we premiered it Saturday. Jordan was still editing on it Friday morning, maybe Thursday night. He did like the final export a day before the premiere. So it was right down to the wire, and it took every ounce of effort that we had to get through that. But what a night, man. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it right now because I'm still collecting my thoughts. And I'm not prepared mentally to go through the ropes and recap the whole night and thank everybody. We're going to do that later this week. Drew, Ryan, and Bomber and I are going to sit down and recap the night. We didn't get to see a whole lot of each other and talk to each other that much just because of the chaos. There was, over 225 people inside that room with us, and a lot of ground zero, day one podcast listeners. Just so awesome to get to hang out, shake hands, tell stories, have beers, support a good cause. Just crazy night, man. Life-changing stuff for me personally, and we'll get into that. But today's not the day we're going to do that. We're going to wait a couple days and come back to ground zero from that whole thing because it was an emotional night and couldn't have asked for more out of it. And just really want to thank all you guys through this channel that came out and supported the whole thing. And I'm not prepared to do that here yet today. So later this week, that's what we'll talk about. And geez, Pete's, there's no shortage of wild stories from the night. As per usual with this group and the people that associate with it, things went in a couple different directions, and it was a super interesting night all along, well worth sharing. So we'll do that. That'll be next week. But this week, I sat down. So I went to the Hunting Time Expo. I spent some time Friday there, and then spent some time there Saturday. And Saturday afternoon, I sat down with Cody D'Acquisto. I take that back. This is why I'm not going into detail on thanking everybody right now. It's because, like I said, my brain is kind of fried. I sat down with Cody on Friday afternoon at the show. Sat down with him. We pulled up 2 chairs at a table behind the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers booth. And we talked for, I think, a little bit over an hour, all about tree stands, just from his observation point from when he remembers his dad starting the thing, and, kind of the facts of how they grew that company, what his dad did with it, what they did as a family when these things happened, where the business went, who owned it, who does own it, as well as their ventures with XOP and kind of the whole tree stand market. I mean, those guys were right in it from, Andre I think they started that in 85. I was born in 83, so it's been around since that, at least to my information, that's when I remember, hearing as far as back to that he was deer hunting and starting to tinker with these things. So super interesting story. I was intrigued, happy to sit down and have a conversation with him, man. Honestly, some of the stuff he was talking about was just exciting, because when you think about growing up yourself and hunting and the gear changes and the things that you saw in the 80s and the 90s, and I know when I open like an old bow hunting magazine, it's just like so exciting for me. More so probably than any opening like a new gear catalog. I don't know, man. I like all that old stuff, and I like the history of it and where we came from and where we are now. So it was a kind of conversation all about that. So with no further ado, thank you again so much for everybody that came out this weekend. Couldn't ask for a better turnout and more support, and we are extremely grateful. And we'll dedicate an entire episode to that and talking about that and reflecting on that experience next week. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon.
I seemed off.
Well, you seem like you keep yourself going in a lot of different directions and stay pretty busy, huh?
Yeah. This is the start of the most chaotic time. Well, even with the influx of this new company now, it's like, I had all this stuff going on with XOP, even way too much than I should even be handling. And then now everybody's just wanting new stuff and wanting to know about that and kicking off show season. And I've been really trying to button up those products to have them at these shows, because this is where you create, loyal following and sell guys. And I got guys that are return customers that I see every year for XOP that look forward to bullshitting at the show and coming and seeing it. So it's just something I watched my dad do for so many years. Like Lone Wolf is as grassroots as it gets, man. It started in a garage, and he worked these shows for 25 years. Like when these shows started,
yeah,
like the first ever Deer and Turkey Classic, like all those things through the Midwest. It's just like year in, year out, man. It's like, I think you build as great as social media is nowadays, and it is as great a following as you can build easy. You can't build loyalty like you build at things like this. It's
right.
Just there's something. It sucks, but like today's day and age, we're losing that facial interaction. We're losing that connecting to people. It's not there anymore. It sucks. But it's cool because we can do it in other ways, but it sucks too.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
You're 29. So I'm 35. I'm a little bit older than you, but you don't seem like you're like a social media junkie.
No,
you kind of grew up in the outdoors, right?
Yep.
Whereas like this younger generation, the next generation, like kids that are getting their driver's license and stuff now,
they were on phones at 2 and stuff.
They have a hard time. Not all of them, right? Not across the board, but like the general population is having a harder and harder time socializing. And you know what I noticed already being around here today? Look around at the demographic, man. It's a lot of
old timers. Is that what you're thinking, or young?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, where's the young people? Like, everybody knows, right? It's not like the best kept secret that there's less and less young people getting into this, which is unfortunate because it's so goddamn much fun. And I think possibly as an industry as a whole, we've just had a hard time getting that message.
Well, I think people in general are becoming more like hermitish. And, they're technology, indoors, all that stuff.
Right.
And, it sucks because it's no fault of their own, but if nobody shows them the outdoors, like it's, you look at guys like, well, I don't know how you came into hunting, or I'm sure you probably grew up in a big hunting family, but even like my dad, his parents he was not subjected to hunting in any way. But back then was a different time. Like there was no video games, there was no nothing. It wasn't indoors, you're outdoors. He stumbled upon that sort of activity and got hooked. But nowadays, it's like a lot of people I talk to aren't even subjected to that. Like, oh, like what? Like, you go,
no
what's
idea.
hunting? Like,
no exposure.
Or like that never shot a gun, never held,
Right.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's like, if I walked up to you at a bar or whatever and said, oh, hey, whatever. People strike up conversations, right? That's normal. I go to, like, restaurants sometimes and, like, I'll just crack a joke with, like, a random stranger that's, like, a younger kid. And they'll look at you like, yeah, dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, there's, like, some social issues going. But it did. I noticed that walking around here earlier today. I was like, it looks like they loaded people off the senior citizens home here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where's the young people?
Yeah.
And there's a few of them around. But it'd be nice to see more. And you know what? This thing's, it's Friday, right? So probably kids had school.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, there'll be more kids.
Yeah. But even like that college kid age, it seems like there's I know there's a lot of other interests in that time, but not just as young as like high school, but like those people who are, between maybe 18 and 25.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like there's a gap there too, and those aren't even the bad. Like, I remember, I'm trying to think. I mean, you're a little older than I am, but I didn't really get a phone, like a cell phone, and like get into shit. I don't know if it was.
I was 18.
You were 18?
Yeah, so I think I was in like my senior year, just got out of high school before I got my first cell phone.
Yeah.
And
but
I bought my
even
own
then,
phone.
it was a standard phone.
Right.
No, like you weren't text messaging probably, or shit. I think text messaging was super pricey back then.
You know what it was when I came in? It was the Nextel, the beep beep, like the two-way.
Yeah, that's before me. Like I think I had a Nokia or something.
Right.
And it was like that standard phone that everybody had. Like I don't know. I remember pagers though before that, and I'm not even that old. But yeah, now my daughter, she's like 2, and she can work YouTube better than I can.
I know,
and I'm like, how did
crazy.
this even happen? Like, and I'm an outdoors type of guy. It's just one of those things. I guess you got to change with the times too. But
You said your dad didn't grow up in a hunting household,
no,
but so did he take it on as a later onset adult, or was he in it when he was young?
he started trapping. I mean, he'd hunt for like rabbits and stuff like that as a kid and plink around with like a BB gun type deal.
Yeah.
I think he had like an uncle that like was a sportsman, like would do a lot of fishing, and like that was his only like connection to maybe the outdoors. And then he plinked around a little bit, and then when he was later in high school, started trapping a little bit and got bit by the trapping bug and was all about trapping.
All right.
And and it was actually my ma's family that kind of introduced him more into hunting. And then I think he maybe gun hunted or something, or tried it out, and then started bow hunting and just got hooked after that. So he wasn't too old. He was, I think, probably like that 18, 19 trapping, and then maybe like 23. So older. Yeah, he wasn't deer hunting at a young age.
Yeah. Well, I started a couple years ago spending some time with Dan Infault, and he would tell me, he would talk about your father and just the way that he looked at things and expressed things and saw things. And he seems like he's a very, just doesn't take anything for face value, like wants to dig deep and see why and how. Just a very inquisitive person in general, huh?
Yeah, he's, I mean, I think it's looking at the big picture, but not overlooking the obvious. I think, a lot of, from just, watching him through the years and growing up, as I came up as a hunter, I always had him, in my opinion, the best teacher that I could possibly have. But it's more so like, like you said, there's a reason for everything. I mean, there's a lot of shit he's looking at, but I always thought that he was just able to figure shit out, very, very easily and effortlessly. Now,
yeah.
I think I honestly do think some people have just sort of a knack for that. Like if you think about even back in the day, there was the hunters and there was the gatherers. I mean, as weird and simple as it sounds, but like there were some people that just couldn't get into it, didn't have that killer instinct, or couldn't track animals and stuff. And then there was other people where it just came natural.
Right.
So I firmly believe that that's kind of one of those deals. But yeah, definitely very very eyes open in the timber. And
Well, what I want to do is get to the new gear, obviously, but there's been a couple podcasts out on that. we won't spend the whole time, but what I kind of want to do is there's been an absurd amount of speculation lately on social media about people just saying it seems like very few people know how Lone Wolf actually originally started from day one, what happened, then where XOP comes in, how your father and Dan in fault had a relationship, that whole thing. Like, you've been busy, right? I imagine you're not sitting at home reading through Facebook threads.
I actually tend to not look at it. Like, even when people send me, I can't, man. If I get caught up into that stuff, I'm a pretty passionate person, so I get
right. I get it.
My buttons are pressed easy, so I'm like, yeah. So I don't know. You're gonna have to fill me in. It's kind of
well, like I said. So since you guys launched the new brand, people have like loyalties to brands, especially in the hunting industry, right? It's like a tribal community.
Yep.
It's like Fixed Blade Mechanical, Hoyt, Matthews.
Oh yeah.
People freak out like Lone Wolf, XOP. So there's been a lot of combative arguments on mobile hunting forums about what's happening, how this happened. So what I'd kind of like you to do is just do a brief overlay of, like, back from day one, like, how did Lone Wolf originate? What happened with that? Where does XOP come in? And then walk us into, like, what happened, like, a couple weeks ago and where everything kind of stands.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely flipped the industry on its head a little bit, and everybody's just kind of spinning, like, what is going on? You know, there's Lone Wolf, there's Lone Wolf Custom Gear, there's XOP, there's, you know, well, like you mentioned, Dan, I'm sure you're talking about the whole kind of controversy between he's got a stand coming out and we got this stand. Right? Is that what you're talking about, or?
Yeah, but
or just his like, following of like his.
Yeah, and I kind of want from like ground zero, from the foundation, like the non-speculative story, because you know it just as well as most, right?
Yeah,
from like day one, your dad had a thought.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like he was probably hunting with some inferior gear and thought that he was going to potentially manufacture or fabricate his own tree stand. Is that how it started?
Yeah, so it started back in the early 80s, you know, long before I was even around. And when Dad got hooked into hunting, you know, he began to fidget. What he was using, like you said, was just he didn't feel safe in it. You know, at that point in time, I mean, tree stands were like they were just coming in, like, you know, tree stands were a thing, like, oh, you get up in a tree and hunt
plywood platform.
Yeah, wood platforms. The first stands he actually started, you know, designing and building for himself to hunt out of were plywood. You know, they were marine plywood base with, you know, angle iron and stuff like that. So they were pretty barbaric if you look at them now, but that was like cutting edge back then. You know? I mean, these were climbers. It was all climbers.
Because before that, people were nailing 2x4s into the trees, right?
Exactly. Yep. So, you know, you've seen these things. So he started kind of messing with his stands. You know, him and my uncle. And then people, you know, oh, let me borrow that. You know, I want to use that. Or hey, make me one of those. And it was just one of those deals that kind of like just started snowballing. And then he'd get orders for them, and then he started selling them. You know, and then. You know, as he developed as a hunter, I think his designs developed in different situations he needed to capitalize in. He'd take those into account, and then, you know, it was only climbers for the first for a while, and then he made the first fixed position. And it's actually funny, but the other day we were.
Did your father have machining? Was he like just a hands-on guy in general, or did he know how to machine, or did he outsource that stuff, or was it stuff he was actually physically doing?
So like at first, you know, this was all like, you know, you could do this in a garage. I mean, you know, taking angle iron, cutting them, drilling them, you know, plywood bases. Before anything was actually like got high end, it was all fabrication. You know, he worked
rigid construction.
Yep, he worked in the actually at that time in the automobile industry.
Okay.
And he was like a mechanic, so he definitely had, you know, he's got that mind. He's definitely a hands-on person, but he didn't have any schooling in machining or anything like that. And it's funny that you say that, because we were actually, you know, we're going to do a video production on like this kind of what I'm going through at like a in-depth, and it was real cool because over Christmas we were back in Wisconsin, back in Milwaukee, in the garage where it all started. You know, I remember I grew up in that garage watching him. You know, it's funny, but we all us kids got like scars all over it from falling on tree stands. Like there was always pallets of tree stands in the driveway and like sharp, rigid castings, and And we were looking around, and we went up in the rafters, and we started pulling down some old, and it was freaking neat, man. I mean, we got some of the old climbers, but what was really neat that I didn't even know we had, when he first designed and came up with that idea and was working on his patent for a cast stand, he needed to make the model design for the casting house, like to create the mold off of, like the sand cast mold or something. Mm-hmm. And we dug out of the rafters, like covered in a half inch of dust. You know, it was his old the model that he did, and we pulled it out. And what he did is he used scrap metal, aluminum, and Bondo. And I'm talking like little tiny 1-inch pieces of like just I think probably cut off, like, you know, that was going to be scrapped, like little scrap pieces of aluminum, and literally filed them down and bondoed them and made an entire stand platform, 2-dimension, 2-spec to send to the casting house to make the first mold. Mm-hmm. And what we had was like they sent it back, and it was, you know, like dated like, you know, I think 91 or something. It was really cool to look at, but he did that on his lunch break, you know. I mean, on his lunch break every day he'd work on that thing and file it and get the draft right, you know, for that casting to pull out right, and really dove into it. And at that time, even people, when he was looking into the technology, people thought like, well, you know, casting ain't going to be strong enough. It's too brittle. You know, it had a bad connotation, and, you know, he stuck to it, you know, got that patent, and then started kind of like that, the lock-ons. Then did the climber as well too. But so, you know, what started as, I know I always use that saying, it's kind of played out, but, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. You know, that's how all great things are created. Somebody needed something,
right?
And they made something that, you know, that wasn't available to them, and
right.
And then went from there. So, I mean, it was pretty.
So, and then he gets a product that's actually high end and starts Lone Wolf, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, and he started even with the plywood deal. You know, when he started kind of selling those, and he realized, hey, this could be like a business. That's when he then in 1984 started the company. You know, started out of the garage, like, okay, you know, him and my uncle were like, we're going to do this. My mom came up with the name Lone Wolf. It was kind of a weird story, but it was just, you know, is down home as it gets, really. I mean, small little house, tiny garage in the backyard,
right?
And it was a family business, so it took off from there with the development of the cast and different models. And then a lot of people don't know this either, but he was the person that invented the climbing stick. Like, the first ever climbing stick was a Lone Wolf product in, like, I think it was 90, and that's when he did all the patents on a climbing stick in general. Like, just think about it, a tube that goes on a tree that you strap around and that aids you in climbing up.
Right.
You know, there was ladders. There was, like, you know, you said people were nailing stuff into the tree, but, you know, the first climbing stick was a Lone Wolf climbing stick. And I think it was like 36 inches. The steps didn't move. It was a little bit more barbaric than you see now, but, I mean, you know, he pioneered that whole movement, you know.
Right.
That became, you know, widely accepted, and then you've seen sticks like Muddy with the same Versa button function and V brackets and all that stuff, so it was pretty cool, you know, at that point, coming in and just sort of paving the way for, you know, innovation in tree stands.
And so at this point, we're kind of pre-internet, so your dad starts hitting the trade show circuit?
Yeah, exactly. And we got pictures to that of, like, you know, in 85. I mean, him and him and my uncle in a 10-foot booth like this with one plywood climber, you know, and they were just started hitting the show circuit, you know, like that's around the time these things like were, you know, popular and started getting going. So, yeah, they were super grassroots. There's no internet back then. It was all word of mouth. It was, you know, guys you knew and just that whole deal.
So time goes on, and your father builds Lone Wolf to be a pretty big entity, you could say, you know, for a real serious deer hunter, it's a household name, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And
then sells the business, sells the rights to the business.
Yep. So 25 years down the road, you know, after all this, you know, scratching and clawing, you know, at that time, you know, it was hard for people to spend money on a tree stand that he was asking of this product, and it became the norm, and it grew, and it started to become widely known in the hunting industry, like you said, and you know, the brand really took hold. Lone Wolf was
and in between this, your dad goes on a run and kills some giant deer while using.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know. I mean, people say Lone Wolf is an awesome product, right? I mean, the original stands, you can't beat them. You can't beat the innovation. You can't beat the simplicity. A lot of people overthink things, and the simplicity and all those designs are what they are. And it would have, by all means, taken off. But the fact that deer were hitting the ground like just consistently, and he was using these, and putting that I guess walking the walk, if you will. So I mean, these deer, it proved a quality product, aided in that. Obviously, he's a good hunter, but so yeah, like you did mention, a lot of big deer were dying in this time,
which helps promote a hunting product for sure.
Oh, exactly. Right? I mean, even back, he had the number 2 in the state of Wisconsin. I think that was right around the time when his one of the hang-on models came out, and then shortly after beat his own number 2 with a new number 2, and then he had number 2 and number 3, both typicals in the state of Wisconsin, where a lot of people are saying that these deer didn't get that big and all that, and in the swamps nonetheless. So, and he cut his teeth on a lot of public land up north, and just it was one of those things where I think it solidified in everybody's mind, like, well, and not only that, what I talked about this in a video we did, but if you really look at it, it's crazy because not only him, but look at all the people killing the biggest deer. Like even now, what kind of stands are they using? These guys ain't using these mobile guys, the guys that you know about, like the names that you've heard. They're not using a River's Edge, like not to bash on River's Edge, but they're not using like an expanded metal $49.99 hang on. And I'm not saying nobody has killed big deer out of those. I'm just saying your typical, kind of hardcore guy.
Yeah, if you're not hunting exclusively managed piece of property, you need to put the odds in your favor by being able to.
So I think, so that helped. All that. It wasn't just coming from him. It was coming from, a lot of people. And Dad tells a story that it resonates with me. But he's like, I never realized how or that he made it in a sense until he was up way in northern Wisconsin, and he said he was hiking out from a hunt, and he passed 2 guys on a piece of public, and both the guys he passed had his stands on his back, and he's like, and it was just it kind of tingled me a little bit to hear that. I was like, oh, that's wild, that's cool, because that was when he's like, that's when I knew he had kind of made it in the tree stand industry, and that was in the mid 90s or something. So
moving forward, so all this happens. At some point, there's a business deal transaction made where your dad, sells the company, sells the rights to the company?
Yeah, so what he did, so in 2006, a couple guys from Illinois, it was a family, they were looking to get in the tree stand business. And, so then it sparked a conversation of selling the company. And you can imagine how somebody would be attached to a brand that they built from the ground up for so many years. So he knew even before a conversation started that he wanted to retain the name. He would not sell the name Lone Wolf. So what he did was he sold a licensing agreement for this new company to use the name Lone Wolf in all of his patented designs. So this new company took over Lone Wolf Tree Stands and Quote. And the reason he did this is because, he always, it was, I think he wanted to keep it in the family for one, but we wanted to do things outside of tree stands. And, he always knew he wanted to do that,
Okay.
So it was
from a long time back, huh?
He knew, you got to think about it. Tree stands, you can only go so far with that. It was always the intent to, right when the company sold, we started producing camera arms. The saddle stand with the saddle. It was branching out a little bit into, why wouldn't you use such a powerful name brand on other products? So that was always the intent there. So when he did sell, quote unquote, not a lot of people know this, but all he did was sell a licensing agreement. So he's always owned the name Lone Wolf, still does to this day, and always will. The Lone Wolf Tree Stands that you see is merely a company that has all of his original designs and patents. And, that's why, a lot of people realize or don't realize, but the logo switched. In 2006 is when you've seen the new Wolf head. What you see now with like Lone Wolf Custom Gear, that's a remake of the old original logo from '84. So we brought that, that's kept with us. It was, held dear to us because that was the original design, and so that differentiates those two. And it just so happened, like this year was the year we decided to kind of get back into it. But
at some point in time, you guys moved from Wisconsin, right?
Yep. So after Dad sold the business, I think he, and to that point, I think he was, after that, he was really just trying to focus on hunting for a while, and he relocated and bought a farm in Iowa. And I had moved to Iowa as well, and, kind of both of us just
How old are you at this point?
I was 19.
Okay.
Or I remember when I graduated high school, like the day I graduated, I was in Iowa for my residency. Like it was like oh boom, I'm going.
Okay.
So I took off, and so anyway, yeah. So Lone Wolf went on about its own path. We kind of went on about it. I was just hunting. I mean, I was just hunting like crazy.
And then so you guys move, and then at some point, where does XOP? How does the XOP even start? Like
so in 2014. In 2014, the original patent of Dad's for now there's a laundry list of patents there. I mean, from the offset bracket to the buttons, leveling, there was a lot of patents.
Right.
Well, now in 2014, and this is let's see, 8 years after the sale of the company, that original patent for cast aluminum in a platform was up. It's ran its course. So you've seen an influx of, I think, Millennium, Leverage, Ameristep, Field and Stream. A lot of people wanted to grab that cast market. So a lot of them made a cast stand and launched it, and then they'd like disappear, or the stand wouldn't be around anymore. It seemed that nobody could really get that cast right. Nobody's ever done it, It's always been one person because it's always been protected. So. We were contacted by XOP, a company that is, it's a smaller division in a larger company. They actually produced a lot of tree stand parts for other even manufacturers that you know about. But the owner at that time was passionate about hunting, had a really good business going in other directions, and wanted to start doing tree stands. Well, they wanted the originator of the category, for consulting. Obviously, they seen the deer I was killing. They thought it would be a good kind of marketing ploy, and, knew I had some ideas of my own, and wanted us to be involved with that. So with that being said, there's a lot of misconception out there that people think like XOP was my company that I started, or that like it was
That's
Dad's
why we're
company.
talking about this.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, it's interesting. A lot of people don't realize, but no, I do not own XOP, nor does Dad. We're merely involved in a design. I mean, I do a lot of marketing and sales strategy and for the company, but essentially designing products and just aiding in those situations where they don't fall over because Dad's been through it, and we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I mean, Dad had great products, so these are just little tweaks that we've noticed along the way. Some that Dad wanted to do, some that I've found, after hunting from the products for so many years, and we thought it just to come out in the XOP line.
A couple of years ago, when the mobile hunting thing starts getting real popular, I think just due to forums, and it starts to kind of spread like wildfire, right? And it's kind of right around the same time when I started this. So some of my buddies start mobile hunting, and then I see the advantage of it, right? So it comes to before last season where I have to make a decision on what am I going to do. So the year prior, I kind of piece and part some stuff together. It's a hack job, right? And I spend the whole in-between season looking at gear. So I look at Lone Wolf, and I kind of know the backstory, right? But I'm like, where's the innovation? I'm like, where's the new one? Like, where's this year's model with the different this and that? And then I start looking at XOP, and I'm like, there's a lot of innovation here. Like, I'm seeing more. And now that all makes sense, obviously, because what you're telling me is, yes, your father, you are involved with this as consultants, designers,
Yep.
field staff. How important is that, right? You got a guy out there actually.
It's everything. You know, I think there's so many companies out there that I think that's why you don't see the innovation, because not only using a product, but it takes somebody to use a product, or a certain kind of person to use a product and push it, and then not only just be fine with it, but how can I make this better? What can we do? How can we make it more efficient? So I think when you have, that's where you see these really great products, is when guys are actually, I mean, just burning them up. I mean, using them and using them and using them. And the stuff doesn't happen. It's not like you come up with this great idea, oh, this is what we need to do and it'll be the best. Like, do you know the development process, like back when Dad even did the stand? I mean, everything from the angle of the teeth to, you know, there's countless prototypes you're testing and going through this and that. And, you know, even this new stand that we did this year, like, I think Dad and I have probably had 12 different versions of that thing in a tree this year, just before we came up with the final rung pattern, final distance, final, you know. So it takes a certain. Biggest thing is, though, you know, it's the same reason why I don't design ladder stands, or why I would never even take that position. I don't hunt out of a ladder stand. I never will. I don't know what a ladder stand needs to make it better than a normal ladder stand. Like, it's just, I wouldn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole, because, you know, I just, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know,
It's not your rodeo.
elevated ground blind. Hey, can you design me one? I mean, I might be able to come up with some cool ideas just being a hunter, but, like, you will never catch me in an elevated ground blind. It's just not the way I do it. So
Right.
it's you know, it's us designing things, you know, and even a lot of the stuff on this stand, it's like, you know, I've been wanting that ultimate piece of equipment and not have to Frankenstein my own units just to get what I want.
Right.
You know, so, and it's the same thing, you know, just, you know, wanting that piece of gear to use.
So you guys are working for XOP. At what point, I mean, did your dad know all along? Had he been working on the new venture for all along, like in the back of his head, like just mastermind and like the ultimate thing? Or was it maybe a couple years back where he's like, I mean, how did you know about it? Did he come to you one day and be like, hey, Cody, I got an idea. Take a look at this? Or
No, it was not like that at all. I think, so, like I said, there was always intent to do stuff outside of tree stands. So Dad's been working on the new camera for a while.
Okay.
Like that's something that's been in the works. He's been doing the camera. I mean, he's got a couple ground blind patents that he's been working on that I don't get involved in. You know, I don't really like that kind of stuff. But you know, the arrows in the works. You know, we got this a couple odds and ends there. But you know, it wasn't till not too long ago that it was more so, I think it was hunting and me noticing that, hey, the industry is getting more toward our bread and butter. Like, it's what you did so many years ago. It's what I've been doing like crazy, you know, ever since I've even sat in a stand. You know, I mean, I never went through a phase where I was sitting in one place. I never did. I just, from the second I started hunting, I just heard stories about how he and I did it like that. You know, so for all this time, for my entire hunting career, I've been fine-tuning my mobile game plan and mobile strategy and what would work perfect. So it was more so me seeing the industry come into that realm and saying, like, we have to do a stand and sticks and forget about freaking price points, forget about people, you know, bitching and moaning. We got to do something. I want to use the ultimate mobile setup for my personal gain, you know, just like, you know, and I kind of related it to him back in the day. Like, hey, just like you made that climber, that was your, like, you know, it's like something that worked for you. So it was more so, you know, I think I seen this opening, and it wouldn't conflict with XOP. You know, even Lone Wolf, it's different than Lone Wolf. We are, if you ask me, this new stuff it's designed for a certain niche of people. You know, it's not a stand you're going to buy 20 of and hang on your, you know, this is your mobile stand. It's your baby, you know. So it was kind of like just seeing that, and then us going 110% at it, like, you know, with, like you said, you're always, or like I said before, I've been, you know, you always have those ideas, everybody, well, if I design this, I'd do that, or if I would do this, this would probably be better. Well, it was like time to start testing all that stuff. So,
And through this, you guys are able to maintain a healthy business relationship with XOP, even though, yes, you said it's different, but it could be construed as a competitive, competing product, right? I mean, it's a tree stand. You work for a tree stand company, but you guys have a good business relationship with them, and
yeah.
I mean, obviously, you. Like I was asking you earlier, I mean, you're splitting booth costs and.
Well, I think it ultimately, it comes down to the fact of like, so, we're innovating these trees that, like you said, to that point, you looked at XOP, and they were innovating, unlike, Lone Wolf for a while. Lone Wolf's been very stagnant. A lot of these companies, there's not many cast aluminum players. There's not many high-end players in even in general,
No.
So you look at these couple different companies, and what I think we've almost done is just we've captured another category of hunter. So, XOP being the appeal to all, a good mobile setup, but also a good permanent setup, like that's, like we talked about that, guys,
For sure.
Guys complaining about the weight of the sticks. Well, they weren't designed to be just a feather light stick. They're designed with climbability in mind, and a lot of people buy those and leave them in the tree because they're, so it's what we wanted to do is a setup specifically designed for that person. So back to the XOP thing. I mean, with them at $150 stand in this ballpark and this thing being $500, it's a world of difference.
Right.
But I think it almost creates a life cycle of a hunter too. It's very easy to get guys interested in mobile hunting and get them in that set with XOP.
Sure.
And as they hunt with it, they might start to do the same things we do and pick apart our setup and do this or do that, or maybe even save up and sort of graduate to that higher end stand.
You just said it right there.
Exactly, and it's how you view it too. I mean, if we started headbutting each other, it'd be a different story. But I think there's nothing better than cross marketing between these two companies. We're working with both of them. XOP is growing rapidly. This company, I'm sure, will be great. It's something that's been missing. I mean, there hasn't been, I firmly believe, even with XOP, the tree stand industry is not a very innovative industry. Sure. And I think it's because a lot of guys, there's not a lot of guys testing the limits in that. So,
right. No, I agree with you. Yeah, I kind of like that whole approach because, like you just said, it adds options and it strengthens the community as a whole. Like, I don't know, it draws attention, and like you said, okay, so I'm a young guy, I like race cars.
Yeah.
I see a Lamborghini out in the parking lot. I can't afford a Lamborghini.
Exactly.
I'm a young guy.
Yep.
Well, I can get started here.
Yep.
And I can work my way towards this, and those things retain their value too. A lot of people, I don't know how many people realize that, but you can go online and like Lone Wolfs, XOPs, those kind of stands, they don't really fall apart.
No,
they hold together, and guys resell them, and you can graduate to that upper echelon, nicer. It's just like a bow. You don't go and buy a kid a $1,000 bow, or at least you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should be getting something from a garage sale and starting there, and then getting a package deal, for $200 or whatever, and working his way up the ladder. And what you guys did is just kind of put set a new bar.
We really did bridge a gap with XOP. I mean, a lot of people don't look at it this way, but there's so many guys that I meet at shows or buddies that I had or guys who maybe either weren't serious or just it was not in their priority to spend $250 on a tree stand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get it, to each their own. There's some things that I think are crazy to spend a lot of money on, and other guys like them, so I don't give them shit for them. I mean, I got a lot of shoes. It's one of my freaking vices, But, you may think that's stupid, but to each their own. So, I mean, there's so many guys that I got into mobile hunting that I've met and that would have never even took the bait if it wasn't for me having a $150 stand for him right there to grab. A stand with a lifetime warranty that was cast aluminum that had all the benefits of that $250 stand. And, it made them make that purchase, right? They made that purchase. they will never hunt out of another thing again.
All right.
They instantly, oh man, dude, I cannot believe I was hunting out of Gorilla tree stands that I bought from a garage sale for all these years. Like, dude,
Right.
I'll never hunt out of anything else than an XOP or a cast stand again, or whatever. So it really bridged a gap, and I think that XOP continues to bridge that gap, but there is a lot of people you miss out on just having a $500 tree stand.
Right.
And to those people, too, that even say a $500 tree stand is a little ridiculous, I beg to differ. I mean, something that you will literally, your grandkids will be able to use.
Yeah.
We got this new thing with the stand, we're calling it like an eternal warranty. Just a cool spin on it. But, like, dude, this thing is warranted for eternity. I mean, serial number on it, man. I mean, transferable. You sell that to a buddy, that buddy freaking, throws it off a bridge. Like, that stand is warranted.
Right.
It's American-made metal. We've been trying to play on that. I mean, it's tough stuff, man. It's solid. And it's just something that we're kind of.
I can tell you that you will not receive one price point complaint from anyone that understands raw materials, machining, and labor.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think there's just a lot of that. People don't understand it. I mean, I just look at this. There's so many guys out there that spend $1,200 on a bow every year and get the latest bow. Or you get the best hunting clothes. Some of these things, man. I got a base layer shirt that was $200. I mean, and that fucker's got holes in it. Like, and I'm gonna have to buy a new one. So, you think of something that you're up in a tree with, that's your baby throughout the year. That it drives you to be successful in your passion.
Right.
And you take this thing everywhere. It's yours. And you have forever.
You're right.
It almost makes me want to jack that price up just talking about it. I'm thinking maybe this needs to be a couple $100 more.
Don't do that. You're talking my language though, because my frame pack.
Yep.
From Cafaro is like an $800 backpack.
Isn't that worth every freaking penny though?
People have no idea.
Oh, I know.
And I'll post something on a forum and guys will say, "That's overkill. That's ridiculous. You don't need that." And I'm like, "Have you worn it? Have you hunted with it? Do you want to hand it down to your kid? Because that's why I bought it, asshole. Like, I want to have this thing, make memories with it, keep it, and be able to hand it down to my son. So I invested in it. I'm not spending the money. I'm investing in it. I'm getting return on it. And in one deer season, I already got my money back on that thing.
Oh, 100%.
I couldn't have done what I did this year without it.
It's like going to Harbor Freight. I went to Harbor Freight once, right, and I bought a grinder. I needed a grinder for a project. And they gave me I think it was a whatever warranty, right? I got that grinder back to my shop, and I literally broke it in like 5 minutes. And then I went back to Harbor Freight, got a replacement. I did this like 5 times, and I'm like, what the hell am I? What am I doing? And I went and I bought like a $300 freaking grinder, and I'm still beating the piss out of that thing. I mean,
right.
You get what you pay for. Like you said, it's just one of those things where. Those steel stands, especially out in the timber, or even if you're taking them back and forth, they will rust and kind of
right.
Weather out, and you'll have to get a new one.
Yeah, right. And when it gets cold out, it's going to make noise.
Yeah. Yep.
That was a crazy thing that a realization for me this year, the first year having a cast stand that I hunted out of. Boy, when it starts getting cold, try to climb back up and be quiet in one of those old steel.
Oh, I know.
It's impossible. And the deer that time of year on pins and needles.
Especially when it's really cold, too. It's like.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's impossible to be silent. Whereas with the cast, not only does it not do that, but it has a property that seems to absorb energy and deadens.
Yep.
Like, it's a game changer. And to be able to change the angles on everything, and then you guys have just kind of stepped it up, and like you said, it's a niche market. It's not we didn't make this for something that we're telling everybody you need this.
Yeah.
There's a certain group of people that really want this, and when it came out, it was like, oh yeah, like that, like there's a need and a want for that. And I personally, because what we were talking about earlier, some of the stuff that I do, it gets heavy and it wears you down, and you're talking a major. The setup that I'm running right now, 4 XOP sticks and a Vanish. What's that weigh?
Oh, let's see. Total weight, belts, straps. You got to be, let's say, probably. I mean, it's got to be over 21 pounds, maybe. I mean, all the stuff together, all the belts on each stick. You got probably 12 pounds there, maybe. I mean, and then your stand. Yeah, it's got to be like 22 pounds, I would think.
Yep.
I mean, depending on, give or take a few here. If you got double belts on the stands and all that stuff.
And you guys were able to cut what? So you got
we're like half that.
2 stick options, right? A mini and a full length.
Yep.
What is it? A 20? What's the length?
The compact is a 17.
Okay.
Yep. We tested out a 20. It's a long stride, dude.
Sure.
And it's hard to climb it. And I mean, I'm not a big dude. I mean, and I can climb anything. I mean, I'm pretty capable, dude. But like, that's a big stretch. I think a 20-inch stick.
Well, especially in boots and
heavy, late season attire, it's tough, man.
Right.
And I know the old sticks that Dad did back when the Assassin came out were a 15, and I hated them. Hated that mini. I felt like I couldn't get anywhere with it, and I felt like it didn't. I just didn't like it. Never used them. I tried them for a year and never used them again. And now this year, even designing this shorter length, when we were testing different lengths out, I even had in the back of my mind, like, well, I won't be using this. I'm a full stick guy. I like the full sticks. And after testing 20s, 19s, 18s, 15s, 16s, set, like that 17 is sweet, man. I mean, that thing locks so tight. It's like the perfect distance with strap placement. It's got the big, nice step on it, like the XOP. And it's just so freaking light. And I've been doing like 4 of those, and I'm freaking hooked. Like, those are.
You and me are about the exact same size.
Yeah.
How high can I anticipate being able to get with four minis?
So with me, I would say probably the safe bet. I hunt between. I think if you summed up every set that I've ever. Sometimes I get crazy high, but if I'm just. My typical would be probably from 8 to 16 feet, probably more in that 12 to 15. I don't have a problem getting that with these 4 minis. I always carry a couple screw-ins with me just in case, and I know in public you can't, but I know guys who carry 8ers, but I'm typically a 2 full-length guy. These 4, I got about 18, 19 feet really gapping them, but I'd say a good 14,
I can
15.
climb too.
Yeah, so I mean, it was one of those situations where I like to be, when I'm heading out, I like to be as light as I can, but also I don't want to freaking risking anything.
So you'd say with 4 sticks, I mean, if you're in decent athletic shape, you could get 16 feet.
Yeah, I would say. Yep. I mean,
it's pretty reasonable. I mean, more often than not nowadays, especially the way that I hunt, I'm looking for the setup, the cover, the breakup, the crotch in the tree.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Versus trying to be 30 foot up. You know what I mean?
100%. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and I progressively, I feel like I get lower and lower.
I've been doing the same thing, man.
It's like you said, it's so much a situational thing.
Right.
Sometimes you need to be high. There's not, I mean, I hung a stand that was probably, I think, maybe seven full length sticks, and I was gapping them suckers. Like, I was gapping them far, but I found this little honey hole way deep in this valley, and I knew the only way I could hunt it the next day with the wind I had was just to get high. I didn't want to risk anything getting sucked down in there, and I seen some good bucks, and I had to do it. I didn't like doing it. I actually put a lifeline in that one because it just freaking sketches me out, but I would much rather be low.
So how high can you get with 4 of the full-size sticks?
Oh, you'll have no problem getting over 20 with 4 full-size sticks.
Right on.
Yep.
And the weight difference isn't dramatic, right?
Yep. And we're also doing a double step version because everybody's crazing over the double step version, so we'll have that available as well.
Right.
But the weight you're looking at is like 1.4 with the compact model, and then you're at 2.1 or 2.2 with the full. I mean, they're freaking light, man.
I was a 2-step guy until me and you had a conversation on the phone. And you were telling me about, put your leg here and put your leg here and do this. And, you're basically wrapping your leg, your knee.
Dude, it's so secure.
You just lock right in.
Yep. I think the big thing, and I dove into this with that DIY guy. I always forget his name. I know him as the DIY guy, but.
Is his name Garrett?
Yeah, that does sound familiar. And his I apologize, DIY guy, but we were talking about this, and he's a big advocate for the two-step.
Right.
And when we were talking, he was like, "Oh, you gonna do a two-step?" And I'm like, we're designing it right now. Like, we got prototypes, and he was amped. But he loves the two-step, and I think this is the biggest reason, because he uses aiders, and like when you have a reversible step, the process of changing your climb, if you have the aider attached already, is a pain in the ass. That's what I took it as.
What I liked about two steps is when I was really trying to get screaming eagle high, I would stand on both feet on my top stick.
Ooh,
Mind you, I always have alignment. Usually.
Yep.
Most of the.
But then let me ask you this: how do you get up in the stand, being that you've used all your?
I'm just, basically I have from my top step, one stride, one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whatever that is, 18 inches or whatever it is,
Yep.
I'm setting it above that. So I'm actually.
Even when you were on the top, both feet? On
top rung.
Oh.
And then I'm doing my last
So
step
what you've realized, though, is you're really not getting any higher with that set by staggering your feet, right?
Well, I can get higher, but I don't. That's typically not where I right, a whole revolutionary thought process through my head through the year.
Yeah.
I don't need to be doing that if I'm.
Yeah. Well,
it always used to be me just get to a spot and get as high as possible.
Yep.
That was it, right?
Yep.
It's way different than that when you really start getting into it.
And I think when you're trying to get that little bit higher, you're putting so much more, like, you're making that stick so much less stable, I think you'd say. Being on the top with 2 feet, all of it there, your pivoting points,
right.
like when we talk about when you got those legs staggered, and you got your crotch drove into that tree essentially. I mean, you're freaking stable, man.
You are.
I mean, you're like
right.
And so I think
you're as secure as you could possibly be, aside from having a lineman belt on. Or
exactly.
Something.
Yep. And then you got you always have the you got 3 points of contact. You got your if you're on one double step and for some reason that double step malfunctions or breaks or something with the hardware, that's like your only. Now you got your lifeline on, but if you got your feet staggered, you got 2 points of contact with your feet. You got an arm around the tree. You got a lineman's belt. Whatever the hell you got, it's just it's a nicer. And this could be it's just because the way I came up. I don't know, but but we are doing a double step for those guys who like to double step or run the aiders and do that. But yeah, the weight difference on that was so minute for the double step. So
when I'm hanging, I have a couple different methods, and there's reasons for it. And what I used to do is have the 2 steps, and I'd have my lineman. You can have your feet on the 2 steps, and you're on your lineman. You're pretty secure,
comfy, yeah.
But if you're not using a lineman, it's so nice to be able to just throw your sticks up, grab that tree with your. I mean, you're right. You can basically lean back. You can grab that thing so hard with your leg. You can basically lean back, and you were locked into that thing as good as possible. The ultimate is doing both. Now, so if I'm hunting downstate or whatever, back 40, I'll just throw my sticks up, right? But if I'm up north and say I'm by myself, I'm out in the big woods, a lot of those places I don't even have cell phone reception.
Oh, yeah.
Once I go up over one stick, I'm tied in the whole time because I know if I fall and get hurt out there, it's a lot different story, right?
Yep.
But I feel more secure now in doing that method of having, a leg locked around the tree plus the lineman, and then I'm putting my next stick. I just go up, come down, go up, put my stand up.
You got all the bases covered there.
And it's up there, too, is a lot of coniferous trees. So a lot of times, like you just said, I only need to be 8 foot. Yep. Otherwise, I'm putting myself at a disadvantage because you get up any higher and you can't see through the canopy or the cover or whatever.
Or get a shot, too. I mean, you can't be trimming freaking lanes and all that stuff. I mean, the higher you get, the more branches you got to deal with, too. And
yeah, exactly.
I deal with that in Illinois a lot. It's very thick, like hedge forest. And that hedge is like, it's so gnarly that you almost have to be like 8 feet high to optimally hunt it.
Right.
I mean, it's in certain circumstances you can get higher, but in them trees, they're so wicked too. I mean, they don't really get that high. They sort of branch out like apple trees, but
Right.
yeah, it's and that's the thing right there. You hit it on the head. Like, okay, as you hunt more, and as you do this, you come up with these little styles and little quirks of doing things, and it's like, now you're liking that leg position, and that's probably going to lead into you changing your hang-on position maybe, or like I know me, like I go up the tree the same way all the time. I hang my stand the same exact direction off of where I'm hunting. I sit in it the same way. All my shots are the same. I like routine. I'm like that type of guy. So I know like when I'm going up, whether the tree's got limbs or it doesn't, or I just have my method, So
Yeah.
and it's just overdoing it and doing it and doing it.
So the website's all up. All the information is up. It's cool that you guys are you're working with the Michigan company, right? You're working with Darton on the bow and at some of the tree stand as well, right?
Yeah, we're working with a company out of Michigan with the tree stands, climbing sticks, and also with Darton on the bow. And a lot of people are looking at that too and thinking like, we're not trying to say we designed this bow. Like, we're not bow guys,
right?
And I'm definitely not a bow guy, but we've always used Dartons. We like Dartons, and what this bow is essentially like a hybrid of two Dartons, with our bushing technology and like the soft touch and all that stuff. So
yeah,
it's it's cool. It's cool to get the bow back out there and have a name on it, and utilize some stuff from a company that
I would imagine your father and the people at Darton have a lot in common too. I mean, the Darton has, a lot of people don't know, but they've kind of set the industry standard. Like almost any modern bow that you buy,
they're licensed.
People are paying licensing money to use Darton parts, right?
Yeah,
or
it's
parts that Darton has created and has the patents on. Basically every bow in the market.
Yep. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of technology there. In it's shit that I don't even understand, man. Like I said, I'm not, I mean,
as long as it shoots an arrow.
I know, man. I was getting beat up at ATA a little bit. People are like, well, how do you not know this about the bow? I'm like, I'm sorry. We'll have the information out there, But I've always been that type of guy. Like, if it's shooting what I'm aiming at, I'm fine with it. I don't care what it is, what the brace height is, what the axle is. I've just never got into that.
Right.
And I want to. I want to start getting into that and picking it apart more, but it was always like, I feel like there's two types of guys. You can tell where a guy spends his time. If he's shooting a bow or if he's hunting, and there's guys that do both, but it's just one of those things where I'm not a bow junkie, man. I mean, I know that, the original low bow that Dad designed and did the riser for to match his stands, and he did his cam for, was based off a Darton platform. And we used Darton limbs on that first bow in 2000, when he came out with that in 2006. It was his riser, a cam that he designed based off of Darton cam, and then Darton limbs. So it was, that was the first model of the Lobo, if you will, and now it was just, we felt it right to bring it back. They had some new technology coming out.
I shot the new Darton bow today.
Yeah? Did you like it?
It's impressive. There's not much of an argument for me to be had that it's one of the smoothest shooting bows. I mean, people say it all the time, and I'm sick of hearing it, but it's dead in the hand, It's dead in the hand, And then I go and shoot a bow that I was told is dead in the hand. I'm like, no, I definitely know I just shot a bow.
Yeah.
But that thing does an amazing job of distributing the energy. I don't know where it's going. It's all going to the arrow, but yeah, man, I was impressed with it. And I'm looking. I kind of want to. Well, last year I shot Parker, which they had a ton of history. Super cool company. Mission statement of being manufactured in the States, sourcing all their parts in the States, keeping a price point for a blue collar guy.
Yep.
It was kind of a cool thing. I got their last bow. They officially went out of business.
Really?
This year. Yeah, just a couple months ago. Right now they're actually liquidating the rest of their stuff, and they're done.
Wow.
The owner passed away.
Oh.
He passed away like a year ago and left it to his wife, from my understanding. And I think she was a little older, and it wasn't her thing.
Yeah.
And I think from what I gathered, he didn't want it just getting sold and people running wild with the name. It stood for more than making money, and so it ceased to exist. So, I think my next bow I'm probably going to try to source from Michigan because there's a couple good options. We got Dart and Prime, and there could even be a couple other ones, but my brain's pretty fried today at this point. So, I like what you guys are doing. I like what you stand for, the innovation, the looking further into things. You know, that fucking hat's cool as shit. Like, I don't know. There's some nostalgia there. There's history with the brand and the company, and the innovativeness. Like,
yeah, it really comes down to just, you know, making stuff that we want to use, like you said, you know, and everything, you know, even the new arrow thing that we got, that's all it was for. It was just for, like, you know, everybody's had marginal hits. Like, I mess up on so many deer. I mean, it's like, you know, that happens a lot, you know, due to a lot of different reasons. But hey, man, let's, you know, I want to do something that'll, if you get that marginal hit, this might help you find that deer. It might recover it, you know, or even stuff on the new camera, you know, just little pain in the ass things that we were always like, oh my God, why is this like this? Well, let's build one.
I know you said you were getting ready to bring some of that gear in. Did you bring all that stuff with you, or just tree stand stuff? Or
to the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. We got a sample of the camera. We didn't have the bows or the arrows. Just we didn't have the booth space. It was kind of a
sure.
We do have a sample stand that guys can look at.
Right on.
Some of the sticks.
Well, I'm saying we can go over and take a look at them now once we wrap this up, huh?
Yep. Yeah, we can go check them out.
Sweet. So the website's up. All the specification stuff is.
And we'll be populate. A lot of that is general. We will be populating that website with a lot more specs. Like, we're gonna really in the next 4 to 6 weeks. You know, when we start opening pre-orders and getting all this stuff in and finalizing colors and customizable options and stuff like that, we're gonna try and flood that website with a lot more in-depth stuff. So keep checking back. We're actively updating the website.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know some of the pages are definitely subpar. Like, you know, we just wanted to get it out there so people could at least see what it was, read about it a little bit, get the rough basic specs. You know, a lot of videos to come. We're going to do a lot of tutorial videos on the stand and sticks on, you know, how to pack them, different configurations, how high those configurations will go, you know, long sticks versus the compact, you know, the frame pack feature, a lot of the little things like the added leveling. We're really going to cover all that stuff into fine detail, so that will be getting populated there as we do it more.
And then, do you have like a projection for a time frame for? Are you going to do like a pre-order, or you're going to do an initial run? Like, what's your thought as to when people will actually be able to start getting their hands on or ordering at least?
So we're going to really try and open up the pre-order in the next probably couple weeks, I'd say.
Oh.
Because we're really shooting for a March ship date to have everything ready to rock. What we're going to do is, and we'll get some information on this as well, too. Like, if anybody wants to sign up for, like, the newsletter, this is going to send out to everybody right away. We're trying to build that list. But we're going to do, like, kind of a limited edition. Like, so the first run of these stands will be numbered.
Nice.
Will be engraved, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, this year marks the 35th year anniversary of the brand Dad started back in the day. So, you know, we're going to play on that. You know, we get a little package of goodies and stuff from Lone Wolf Custom Gear with the purchase. So,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sitting down and doing this. Thanks for helping me with my film this year.
Yeah, man, I look forward to seeing it, man.
It'll be tomorrow. Unfortunately, will be over by the time people are listening to this. I'll probably put this out like Monday night.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get to kind of cut loose tomorrow, have some beers, chill out.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man.
So
appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Let's get back to work, right?